So we have a story here of a father who did what I feel any real father would do when his family is being attacked by a bunch of YNs, young thugs, those who probably should not be part of society. Let's watch this video. We're going to get deep into the story and really break it down so we can see exactly what happened, why it happened, and what has become of it. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. When you do subscribe, hit the notification bells. And every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. Let's see it.
Tonight, the man arrested for a deadly shooting at Kentucky State University is a free man tonight. Jacob Bard was arrested for shooting 2 students, killing 1. But today, a grand jury decided there wasn't enough evidence to move forward with the case. WLKY's Madison Elliott was in Frankfort when the decision came down.
Here at the Franklin County Courthouse, a grand jury returned a no true bill in the case against Jacob Bard. This means he will not be indicted. The case is dropped and he's free to go.
That's good news, real good news, but let's continue.
The decision came down after the grand jury deliberated for 3 hours. Jacob Bard's attorney, Jonathan Danks, said he called Bard with the news.
They're overjoyed that he's back home, that this won't be hanging over his head anymore.
Bard was arrested December 9th after police say he shot 2 KSU students at an on-campus building. 19-year-old Dejan Fox was killed. Another student was injured. Bard, who is the father of 2 KSU students, was charged with murder and assault. But Danks says it was all in self-defense. He claims KSU and university police failed to address multiple armed and violent felonies against Bard's sons and other students leading up to the shooting.
And if I find a video, I will put the link down below in the description. Because when you watch it, you will see, like I said, a bunch of kids jumping on this boy, jumping on the whole family, really. And that's when all hell broke loose when it happened. And you'll see exactly what happened in real time and why this dad did what he felt he needed to do.
On the day of the shooting, Bard came to campus to get his sons and requested a police escort. But when they tried to leave, Danks says 20 to 30 people were there and began to attack his family.
Multiple people are on top of him, beating his head into the concrete with fists and feet. He's unable to pull the individuals off of his son. And seeing his son in imminent risk of death and serious injury, he did what any parent would have done in that moment.
Franklin County.
Can you imagine, man, his dad here, his adrenaline rushing. Can you imagine getting beat by a bunch of thugs and, head bouncing off the concrete, but you see your child defenseless, and somehow you hulk up and get up enough strength. Who's this idiot back here in this picture? Anyway, you got enough strength to defend your family's honor. That man's a hero to me. I don't care what you say.
Commonwealth's attorney Larry Cleveland said he was conflicted over the case.
Felt that Mr. Bard could meet the requirements of defense of others, but at the same time, a young man was killed and another young man was seriously injured.
A true bill isn't a declaration of innocence.
Well, that's what happened when you doing something you got no business. You jumping in lines, then you bound to get bit.
It just means the jury didn't find sufficient evidence to indict him with the crimes in which he was charged. Bard had posted bond on Tuesday morning before the no true bill was returned, and now that bond will be repaid back to him. In Franklin County, Madison Elliott, WLKY News.
Yeah, exactly. And now I'm glad this popped up, because now I want y'all to see what happened after the fact. I want y'all to see what poor parenting is. Okay, let's watch this.
New details are emerging from the investigation into the tragic shooting at Kentucky State University earlier this month. WDRB's Dalton Godby tells us the parents of the student who was killed were arrested and now face felony charges for intimidation.
It was nearly 3 weeks ago.
Why was this even able to happen? Why was this even something that could have happened?
When a shooting at Kentucky State University killed a student and injured another person on campus.
This is not okay. It happened on campus. Multiple people saw it. Like, this is where we live.
It's just sad that it happened, honestly.
Dejon Fox Jr. was the student killed in that shooting, and now his parents, Dejon Fox Sr. and Chardonnay Cleveland, are facing felony charges for intimidating Jacob Bard, the man accused of the shooting. Court records show threatening social media posts from both parents after their son's death, including this one, where Fox wrote that Bard would feel the same hurt I feel on a photo of his mugshot. In a deleted post, Cleveland reportedly wrote, quote, "I want his son dead, just like mine," end quote. Bard was the suspect in the December 9th shooting on the K-State campus that left Fox Jr. dead and another student critically injured. But his attorney said,
Now, you saw that kick. That was, let me see. The guy that's being kicked, this is after he hit, can you see the blur down here at the bottom? He did what he did to to them kids, laid them out. Then he dropped his weapon, because then finally the police came. Now, what you gotta understand is when this mob came to attack this family, the police started to retreat. Now remember, he asked for police escort to get his kids up out of the school, right? Well, those same police started to retreat when that mob came, which caused him to go and pull out his, his Second Amendment and do what he did. But he got on his knees, raised his hand, surrendered, and then this person here came over and kicked him in the face. Excuse me. Amazing, ain't it?
but his attorney said he was completely justified in using deadly force, citing that Bard and his wife were at KSU to move their sons back home because they were concerned about safety. The attorneys say the family was attacked by 20 to 30 people wearing ski masks and hoods when Bard used his wife's
Then the police want to grab him. You see?
gun. He was initially charged in the case, but a Franklin County grand jury recently declined to indict him, accepting a claim that he acted in self-defense. Following the arrest of the victim's parents, Bard's attorneys told WDRB in a statement, quote, "Violence and calls for violence will not be tolerated," end quote. Fox and Cleveland were released from custody. They appeared in court Friday afternoon as a community and the university are still reeling from what happened.
Our students need prayers. Kentucky State University need prayers.
Dalton Godby, WDRB News.
I said this is an example of poor parenting. I may want to take that back, because if you think about it in real time, their child is gone. They may not know all the details of it, but I guess we got to understand that emotions are running hot. Your child is gone. Your child has been taken out by someone else. And I'm sure it hurts that your son is gone. It may be their only son, maybe their only child. I'm not sure. I don't know. I never lost a child. Hopefully I never will have to before my time is up. But those in this picture, as though he trying to look stoic, I see hurt in his face. With her, I see hurt in her face. That child, however it happened, was in college. Now, he was part of a mob that was beating on a boy because the boy, and you know what? I'm going to read the story to y'all while y'all continue to look at these two here on the screen, and then maybe y'all can come to the same conclusion or maybe a different conclusion than what I think. I don't know. But let's see. I'm getting this from newsbreak.com, and it reads, quote, "You will die," unquote. Mob of 30 people attacked college student for reporting a burglary, leading his father to shoot one of them, to delete him. And they said the boy that got like deleted, they show his picture like he's in a prom uniform, tuxedo, bow tie, looking dapper. But yet you out here causing violence on a college campus. It says an Indiana dad who was accused of murder and assault for shooting at a mob of people attacking his son on his college campus will no longer be prosecuted. A Franklin County, Kentucky grand jury declined to indict 48-year-old Jacob Bard on Tuesday, finding that there was not enough evidence to charge him in connection with the shooting at Kentucky State University. As Bard's attorney Jonathan Dank told Law and Crime, the matter is now closed. In early to mid-October, KSU dorm room housing one of Bard's sons was burglarized, with an organized group pulling the fire alarm and using fire extinguishers to disable the area's security camera. Dank said the 18-year-old reported the crime to campus police, like he should have. You break in, you rob from me. Sure, I'm telling the police. Simple as that. People want to say defund the police. No, so when crimes are committed, I just have to go out and search for them and get my stuff back. That's what the police job is for. Okay. Immediately after, he began receiving threats of physical violence and threats that, quote, you will die, end quote, according to Bard's attorney, who claimed that at least one of the students involved in the threats had previously had a firearm seized on campus and yet still bragged that he carried around a gun. Again, look at these parents and the hurt in their eyes. I wonder if they knew this information that we are reading right now. On December 6th, 15 to 20 people, many of them non-students and with faces concealed. So you got some YNs coming up. Wasn't the quarter zip boys. That's for dang sure. Broke into the son's dorm and violently assaulted him, and 3 other students that were with him. Dank said the 4 of them were thrown to the ground and stomped and punched repeatedly, with the attackers allegedly destroying hundreds of dollars of property, including a school laptop. The incident was reported to the police and was supposedly caught on camera. 2 days later, 20 to 30 people gathered outside the dorm room with baseball bats and other weapons. Are you serious? How do people like this get into school, get into college? You send your kids to college to get away from the hood, to get away from the streets. But it's like my dad said years ago, like when we moved into a neighborhood, 2-story house, nice middle-class neighborhood, close to the high school, because we moved from an area where the house got broken into once and it looked like somebody attempted to break into the house again maybe a couple of weeks later. So my mom said, it's time to go. I ain't staying here no more. My dad said, okay, put the house for sale, boom, we out. But then I remember we were at home, we was at my parents' house. By this time I had moved out. And my oldest daughter, I think it was a 1-year-old birthday, I think. And we had the garage up. There were no houses behind my parents' house, like a fence, like a fence, and woods in the back. So we was like, but it's an alleyway. Anyway, we were on the house, and then I was in the bathroom. Come out the bathroom. My sister said, "Hey, were you outside the garage?" Like, no, I said, I could have sworn I heard somebody in the garage. So we went outside, didn't see nobody, right? Because there was water running into this little pool, waiting pool. Go back in the house, did thing on a birthday party, celebrate, blah, blah, blah. Weekend come, my dad called me and said, "Did you take my lawnmower?" I said, "Dad, why I got your lawnmower for? I live in an apartment." And somebody stole my lawnmower. And I was like, dang, that's what my sister said. It's probably happened when my sister said she heard somebody in the garage. But anyway, my dad said, well, one of the things he said during the conversation is a lot of times people want to move their kids out the hood to get away from all that mess. But most of the time, it's your kids causing the problems. So you might want to leave your kids in the hood. You don't need to be moving out. You need to stay where you at, because your kids, wherever you go, you take your children and you and your ratchet behavior with you and causing issues and messing up a neighborhood. Same thing right here. Most times kids are supposed to go to college and get away from this kind of behavior. But kind of find out, a lot of times it's your kids causing that behavior. But let me continue. Let's see. 2 days later, 20 to 30 people gathered outside the dorm room with baseball bats and other weapons. Dang, according to Danks. They beat on the door and Bard's son called the police. However, when officers approached, the mob fled. Bard's son called his father that evening and told him what happened, Danks said. Bard had 2 children who were currently attending KSU. He also had a 19-year-old son attending the university, and both teams were on the school's baseball team. That's what I always promote boys playing baseball because that's where the money at. That's where the scholarships are at. You can make $1 million sit on the bench if you get drafted in baseball. Not never playing in the majors, playing in AAA. But everybody want to play football and basketball, and never make it to the pros. Anyway, the father and his wife immediately drove to the campus, arriving around midnight, and they realized that their son and his friends had not eaten a meal in several days. Dang, because they were afraid to leave the dorm room. So you serious? Man, you would have called me that day, I would have been there that day. I mean, I don't, maybe the kids didn't say nothing to us because they wanted to be grown and not get it. But the moment you called me and said this happened, oh, it's on and popping. So they took the young men to eat, and the next morning the parents met with the campus police to express their concerns. The meeting did not sufficiently ease their concerns, they said, nor did a subsequent conversation with the university's dean. Boy, that's crazy. This stuff was on camera, and they acting like they can't do nothing about it. I'll be suing the school and the families. The Bards, quote, became convinced that the university would not be able to maintain a safe environment for their son and informed the university that they were moving him home due to extreme safety concerns. Accompanied by a campus police officer, they approached the 18-year-old son's dorm room to find 4 people outside waiting for him. Amazing. Dank said. Though the officer ordered the group to leave, at one point, one of the individuals involved in the prior assaults began taking photographs of Bard's sons. A physical confrontation was looming, probably trying to set him up for some outside interference. Man, that's jacked up. A physical confrontation was looming, and more people involved in the prior attack started arriving. Some wearing ski masks, Danks reported. Watching the mob gather, Jacob Bard armed himself with his wife's firearm. Danks said, as the family and the officer escorting them reached the entrance to the building, the mob immediately rushed out of the dormitory past an armed KSU police officer and began violently assaulting Jacob's family and others present. They just beating everybody. Bard and his family retreated about 40 feet, but they were being hit. And his son was slammed to the concrete and had multiple people on top of him, beating his head against the pavement with feet and fists. The officer was no help, according to Barb's sequence of events. In the chaos, Jacob tried to physically pull the individuals off his son, but he was hit and could not get the people off. Seeing him in imminent danger of death and serious physical injury, Jacob then drew his firearm and shot 2 individuals who were actively and viciously beating his son. As Law and Crime previously reported, 2 people were struck by bullets. One of them, 19-year-old John Fox, died, while the other was taken to an area hospital in critical condition, but later listed as stable. After firing the gun, Bart immediately dropped the weapon when his son was then able to escape the violence, though not before being kicked in the face. And you saw that in the video. Dank said the attorney maintained that his client's actions were absolutely justified under the law and were the only measure that prevented his son's death or serious injury. Like he only got 2 people, because man, he could have easily took them all down if he wanted to. Though Barr was charged with murder and assault, he and his legal team contended that the university was to blame for not addressing the previous alleged attacks. I agree. Those failures ultimately resulted in the tragic death of 1 student and the injury of many others, Danks said on Monday. Danks also took issue with the mob of attackers not currently facing charges. Even now, despite the many known identities of students and others involved in the vicious attack that day and the multiple armed attacks the days prior, criminal charges have not been pursued against those individuals, Danks said. Oh yeah, I'll be suing the school like a son. Jacobs and his family continue to receive credible death threats, and Jacob's sons are now residing in a non-disclosed location for the safety, he continued. According to local CBS affiliate WLKY, Barr will be repaid the bond he posted on Tuesday before the grand jury declined to indict him. Franklin County Commonwealth Attorney Larry Cleveland suggested that he was conflicted by the case. He told the outlet that he felt that Mr. Barr could meet the requirements of defense of others, but at the same time, a young man was killed. Another young man was seriously injured. I mean, that's what happened when they do it. What do you expect? This is what I tell. Nothing I tell my kids. When you make a decision to do anything, always think about the consequences. Think about the worst thing that you think can happen, and then multiply it by 10. The worst thing that can happen in anything that you do in life is death. The worst thing. Now, what are the odds of it happening? With you waking up when an alarm clock going off and you walk to the bathroom to wash your face? Remember. Going out, getting in the car, driving to work every morning, the odds are going up a few percentage points. Go into a fight with weapons where someone else could possibly have a weapon and could possibly take your life before you take theirs. The odds go up tremendously, exponentially. You gotta think about that. Now I ain't sitting there saying, you don't defend yourself, but going and harassing a kid because you did wrong, because you were stealing, you broke into the dorm and started stealing people's stuff. Remember the kids at JSU was stealing out of broke in Deion Sanders' son's car and broke into like the coach's locker room and stuff like that. Like, wow. And they'd be students and stuff. That's why Deion Sanders left Jackson State. Because of that, there was no protection. The school acted like they didn't care. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have the cameras or right security. So it's like, I'm out. Got a better deal. I'm out of there. Until y'all do what y'all need to do, I'm gone. Same thing these parents did with their kids. Y'all can't protect I send my kids to learn not to get beat up and to get bullied every day and not eat for 5 days. No, you got to go. But anyway, let's continue. Quick quote: "We remain centered on our student safety and well-being." KSU President Kofi Akpakpo said, "The university is enhancing security measures and continuing internal reviews while taking steps to help ensure our campus environment remains one where all can pursue their education safely." Because think about it, you got hundreds of thousands of kids under your wing that you are responsible for. Yeah, this might be an isolated incident, but who wants to go somewhere to where it's possible that this could happen to them? People intimidating them after they commit a crime, then they intimidate them to where nobody wants to tell the police so the stuff can stop so they can go to school in peace. Them people don't care about your kids. I'm talking about them thugs. They don't care about your kids, so why the heck do they care about them thugs? And in the school, they don't care about your kids in time to get your kids up out that school. Was in accordance with university policies, when conduct within university's jurisdiction is found to violate our standards, appropriate action will be taken through established procedures. So maybe during the investigation, and probably, we'll start putting out arrest warrants and stuff like pretty soon. Well, I read something earlier. I want to say something, but I can't remember what the heck it was. Blame paid. That's a Jacob family. Oh yeah, okay, that's it. Jacob, this part here. Jacob and his family continue to receive credible death threats, and Jacob's sons are now residing in a non-disclosed location for their safety. He continued. Life is unfair. These people did nothing wrong to deserve this, but you know what the problem is? In real life, sometimes you got to leave a situation. I've said this before about like abusive relationships. Women, girls in these relationships where these dudes are just abusive, controlling, and you don't know what they'll do. And a lot of times you think you're going to break up what to do, they're going to leave. Nah, they're not going to leave. What is they going to leave for? They didn't leave before they whooped your ass. Why they going to leave now? And sometimes your only option is you got to leave. Leave the city, go to somewhere undisclosed in your family. You got to go. You might think it's unfair, but it has to be done because if you want to live and see another day, sometimes you got to do it. You got to relocate. So I see people relocate all the time. Start over. After they got a bad rep in a town, so why you can't leave when your life is in danger? That makes more sense. But anyway, shout out to this dad, Mr. Bard. Like I said, he is a true hero because he did everything he could to get his kids out of that school before He had to go to the last resort and took a life and attempted taking it. Well, I'm gonna say he attempted to get them folk up off his son because he couldn't do it. It was a mob. You're gonna do so much, so it's like, okay, let's get it done. You know what I'm saying? I'm quite sure he got his wife gun. Wife said, here you go. Handle that. And he went and handled that. But yeah, we'll see what happens in the future. See some of these kids get what they deserve. Arrested, get in that system, get them up out that school so that school can do what it's supposed to do and teach kids and teach them to be productive members of society. But anyway, that's all I got. Tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below. Share it with the world. Let's have an intelligent conversation. You know how we do it around here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those 4 things cost you maybe a couple of minutes out of your day, but it means the world to us here at this channel. With that being said, I leave you in peace and love, and I'll see you on the other side.